I'm pon. Oh,
That's okay.
I didn't
Okay.
expect to go live there.
We're early today. We're just having fun talking. It's just the two of us.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome everyone. it's Friday again,
Hello.
and today it's me and Zen. We don't have any other special guests or anything, but we were just talking about beverages and how we both like to drink 2 liters. He's a Dr. Pepper man, and I prefer Diet Mountain Dew or Pepsi Max, which has just recently become Pepsi Zero. And we were just chewing the fat about that before we got started here today. I don't know what you guys like to drink on, but whatever beverage is your choice, I hope you have a big one. And I hope that you're ready to listen to me and Zen talk about things for a little while here today. It's going to be a shorter stream today, just like last week, because, well, both of my co-hosts are still busy with life stuff, and none of the guests that I tried to get on the show either were available or even got back to me at all. So it's just me and Zen today. And also, I lost a lot of my contacts and a lot of what I had going when all of my Discord got nuked last week. So that's also been a thorn in my side because that's how I communicated with half the people that I talked to. But regardless, we are here today and we are going to talk about a few things before we bounce off to do our weekend stuff. Mr. Zen, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing okay. Continuing to suffer under Boris's glorious leader. I was going with something there, and then my mouth just forgot what it was going to say. Under the glorious leader that is Boris, it's hell. Quite frankly, I can't stand it.
Well, I mean, a lot of us, whatever we had the large conservative win in the UK, a lot of us were really skeptical about how this was going to go because we said, well, if they get a supermajority, that doesn't mean they have to do anything, and they could just carry on with the status quo of the ever encroaching leftward globo homo stuff. And unfortunately, those people seem to have been correct because there really hasn't been much change. Well, that I've noticed. I'm an American. What do you think? Has there been a lot of notable change towards nationalism or right wing conservatism since the majority, or not?
I mean, if you count the fact that Boris seems to be going really big towards Brexit, I mean, that's the one thing. He does appear to genuinely be going for Brexit in the way that we would want. To the point where I don't know if you've seen the news articles, but he may be in breach of international law to try and get shit done.
Well, hopefully you can get a Brexit of some type. No deal is best deal, in my opinion.
No.
I think you should just quit cold turkey, but we'll see what actually comes about between the UN and the UK government. I mean, to the EU and the UK government. Let's say hello to everyone in the chat. We've got Jack, like usual. Hello, Sin of Pride, Jack Blade. We've got Free Toaster. We've got the good old Alex here as usual. And we've got a few more coming in. I see we're up to over a dozen now. So hello and thank you for joining us today, everyone. I know that we got started a little early, so we're just going to banter back and forth for a few minutes before I get to the one and only real topic I wanted to discuss today before we talk about things Zen wants to talk about. So we're going to continue bantering a little further. Speaking of said banter, did you hear that I've been busy the last day or two working and basically keeping my head away from the news for the last 24 hours. I heard today that supposedly Trump has the coof. Did you hear that?
Yes, confirmed. He and his wife both have the coof.
I have not looked into that because I don't care. I think with the way that they use the test, pretty much everybody's going to have the coof in one way or another. I don't really think this means anything. Maybe they had a positive test, but I mean, we saw him speak just a couple of nights ago, and he didn't seem ill at all.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's like literally people can get this virus and do not even know it. It's one of the things Mike Graham loves to joke about. It's like, yes, this horrifying virus that you don't even know you have, and that's how terrifying it is.
It's like, you know what? This virus is so lethal and so widespread that half the planet has it and doesn't even know they do.
And if you wanna find out if you do have it, we need to shove a swab so far up your nose
that we can damage your brain.
Did you see that case?
Yeah, I saw a tweet about it. Like I said, I haven't read the news or anything for a couple of days. I've just been doing my own thing, trying to take a step back from everything just to heal and detach from stuff. So I've only been glancing at Twitter every hour or two on the phone just to see if there's any big breaking stories or anything. So I haven't even opened All Sides since Monday. I've been trying to take a week off. Allsides.com is a cool website. I like it. Have I talked about it to you before? It's quite.
I don't recognize it. You may have mentioned it in passing, and I just didn't notice.
Let me pull this up real quick, and we will link this. We're gonna link this in the old chat here.
I'm having a look
There
over
it
it
is.
now.
Give me just a second. I'm putting it in the live chat for everyone to see, and of course, since we do DLive now, it will be in the DLive stream as well. Before we get talking about this, however, it is 2 o'clock. It is the official time to get started. Those of you who are just tuning in at the appointed time, you haven't missed anything. It's just been me and Zenn bantering about Pepsi and COVID for a few minutes, so you haven't really missed anything important. So the link that I just shared there is called allsides.com. Allsides.com is I guess you could call it a aggregator of sorts. What it does is it takes topics of news and it shows it to you when you search on it. All of the sites, all of the usual websites that talk about news and talk about articles, and it shows you hard left leaning, slightly left leaning, centrist, slightly right leaning, hard right leaning. It has all websites marked with the letter, either bold L, soft L, C, soft R, or bold R, to let you know how left or right leaning, how conservative, how liberal, or however they use the language. But the reason I like it is I can look at because really to follow the news, all you have to do is look at the titles of Tim Pool's videos. That's all you have to do to know what's happening in the news. And then so you take a Tim Pool video title and you put it into allsides.com. And that will pop open whatever the topic is, and it will show you the 5 different categories of news sites and news feeds that are talking about that thing. Like we could probably use it right now to type. Actually, here I'm just gonna share the stream. We'll do it live.
I'm having a look at it right now.
All right, I'm gonna share the screen. We are going to share
debate.
Mozilla Firefox. Boom a boom, and now we're gonna go over to All Sides. Okay, here we are on allsides.com. This is a service I like to use a lot. So you just click on balance search. Well, here we'll go to the home site first. This is allsides.com. It's let me boost this so it's easier to see. Let me go up to 150% here. There we go. That should look a lot better on screen. All right. So this is pretty cool because you can click on the media bias tab to understand how it is they rate websites. And this will be on the middle of the screen here now while I'm talking. And you can see in the center, they got Associated Press, Axios, BBC, NPR News, Reuters, The Hill, USA Today, Wall Street Journal, News Only, NPR, News Only. Now, of course, many of us in my audience, myself included, we know that the establishment, the NWO, the cathedral, the Jewish media, whatever the hell you want to call the establishment that decides what the status quo is, that's going to be ever present in all of these, regardless of the left-right bias, because, like many of you know, I don't really ascribe to the left-right paradigm anymore because it's just both the same. It's the same. It's different sides of the same shekel, basically. But this is pretty good for following American news because you know, based upon the letter, it shows you what slant the thing you're reading is going to have. So you can kind of mentally prepare for what kind of buzzwords and what kind of BS to filter out while you look for the story itself. And I really like this because we'll go to search. Let's type in this. Let's do presidential debate.
One thing I quite like here.
Oops, I misspelled that because I'm retarded. Presidential debate.
One thing I specifically like here is that they specify that soft left is CNN News and New York Times News, and then hard left is CNN Opinion and New York Times Opinion.
So like, see, under presidential debate here, what we have is we have all highlighted here on the left here. See, and this will just show. You know, you just scroll down. It's got stuff here from Fox. It's got stuff here from CBS, New York Times, right? And then you can click if you want to see the least biased grouping. You click center. And here we've got USA Today, The Hill, Associated Press, The Hill, USA Today. This is pretty much going to be your milquetoast stuff. Generally, it's going to be stuff that's not opinion-based, which you and I both know in media today, you can't get away from opinion. It's in everything.
So
but
already, I want to call some some BS on this because I've
Well, of
clicked
course,
center.
there's BS, but
Because I've
I
clicked
like it because
center.
it's an aggregate service. I don't like it because how it labels things is accurate.
No.
I like it because it's an aggregate service where I can look at everything from the root all the way to the right over to, like, Daily Caller. They don't have stuff on here like Daily Stormer and shit like that.
Yeah.
But they do
But
have.
I just want to point out, I click center and it's giving me the BBC. I think not. I think
Yeah,
not.
now to be fair, like BBC and The Guardian, they do have people that do some rather unbiased things on their sites.
Yeah.
Even though the general message and general push and leadership of the site are very heavily establishment.
Oh,
And I say establishment instead of leftist because
I just like to kick the
view it
BBC
that way
because
anymore.
they desperately want my money. And I won't give them it because I just don't have a
going back to what we're doing here. Oh, hey, I see N of One in the chat today. N of One, you're someone that I meant to talk to before my Discord got nuked. Now that I see your name in my chat, I remember that we were going to have a talk. N of One here in chat today. Say hello to N of One, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, N of One. This is a guy who wants to come on my stream. We will get you on the community stream soon, my friend. I do have a new Discord, and you can get it from Alex. So Alex has my new Discord. Get that from him, and shoot me a message, and we'll have a brief chat, and we'll get you on the stream either this coming Friday or the week after there. But going back here, let's click on right, and you click on right, you get stuff from Newsmax, Government Hub, Conservative Biz, Fox News shows up a lot over here, Market Watch, New York Post. I wouldn't call New York Post right-leaning, but whatever. It's like it's fairly accurate, but I don't use it because their left, right, and center groupings are perfect. I use it because I just leave the all thing clicked because I like it because it's a simple, easy to use aggregate website that has a pretty good search feature, and I can type in any kind of regular current event, like, for example, riots 2020. We'll do riots Atlanta, right? We'll type in riots Atlanta, and it will show me the aggregate news of all the crap happening that has to do with riots and the city of Atlanta. So it's not bad. Like it's a pretty cool thing. So I keep it as a hot button on my what do you call them? Bookmarks, favorites, whatever the fuck it's called these days. I don't know. What do you kids call them these days? Saved sites. Fuck if I know. Anyway, we're gonna stop sharing the screen here. All right. So that's enough jibber jabbering. We've got over 20 people watching now. So we're going to go ahead and get to the only real thing I wanted to talk about today was, since you are always willing to come on and chat with me, I wanted us to talk about my egg video. But before we get to that, I almost sounded like Ben Shapiro there. But first, what we're going to do is we're going to share the links that we need for people to make their own questions and comments to us.
I have them up. Do they all still work?
Well, you can go ahead and start sharing them, yes.
Okay. Oh, you've got the first one. And also make a chat. Yep.
So if you want to leave me and Zenn questions or comments on the entropy question widget, that will be the widget on the left-hand side of the entropy page. You can also give me super chats, which will get priority during the discussion, which I will read out loud for everyone. If you would like, you can also give me paid super chats over on the Streamlabs link as well. And I know a couple of you have done that before. I think we got our last one, my first Streamlabs message a couple of weeks ago. Maybe that was last week. I don't remember. But not a lot of Streamlabs action. But and as always, you can donate over on DLive if you want to give me lemons or ice cream over there. And always, PayPal is a good way to donate money as well. Now, I won't get your messages on PayPal, but I will on Cash App if you want to give us a tip on the old Cash App.
Rubs hands together.
Rubs hands greedily. No, it's fine. Like I appreciate, if you could spare the money for a cup of coffee, I do appreciate it, and I do put it towards buying new equipment. I've got about $80 set aside to buy a much better, higher quality microphone right now, and I'm saving up for a high quality digital camera that I can use in the field for doing field work. One that actually has a good range microphone on it. And the more I look into doing field work, actually, I think I should start putting money towards lapel mics. The little battery pack mics you can wear and just mic yourself. I think it might be a better investment to wear that. But then I run into the problem of having to have my audio recorded separately from the video, which is both good and bad. Good because it's doubling up on the likelihood that you capture it, but bad because it requires a lot more editing work, and there's 2 more things that can go wrong. So
I was about to say you might want to get in touch with Dev, because I know he uses lapel mics for game boomers, so he might be able to give you advice on that.
There's a lot of people that use those for different kinds of gaming and online stuff. Like they use them on Red Letter Media, and I watch a lot of them. But regardless, now that we have pimped the channel, smash that like button, subscribe, and blah 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 blah.
Please,
leave me a comment in the comment zone. All right,
go over to Entropy and feel free to call me a filthy Sivnat, because I know you all want to.
No, that's fine. It's fine. Like I said, my community stream is for bringing people together that care about Western civilization and want to have a chat about it. And you don't have to agree with me on hardly anything to be invited onto my show. Everybody knows that. Zen Chan here is a friend of mine I've had for quite some time. He's a civic nationalist. He's clearly differs from me in many opinions on things. But there's one thing I wanted to talk about today with him, since he is a civnat, about my recent video I made. Did you watch the egg question that I made?
I don't think I did, I'm afraid.
Okay, then let me summarize it up in just a minute, and
I'll
then
tell you what,
we
YouTube,
can talk about it.
If I may say, YouTube are absolute pricks for removing the email you with latest videos option. You know when you say click the bell to get notifications when new videos come out, they removed the option when you get emails about new videos, and it's the worst thing they have ever done, because
they do push notifications now, whether you like them or not, because my phone gets beat up with push notifications every day. I have like 50 push notifications from YouTube. I've told my phone to turn them off and not accept them anymore, but they still come no matter what. So I don't fucking know.
Anyway. YouTube would eat my data if I turn that on. So I
use Wi-Fi all the time, so I don't really care. But regardless, to make things simple for you, my egg question is as follows. The reason that I phrase it as eggs is I have helped run a restaurant before. And I know that you have to plan months ahead of time for different inventory spikes if you live in an area that has a lot of holiday traffic, for example, or if there's a lot of bed and breakfasts in your area, that kind of thing. Now, excuse me, burpees. The egg question is, how many eggs will my restaurants need? And the example that I used was in the United Kingdom. Let's say in England specifically. I own 4 restaurants, and these restaurants, they are like diners. Whatever the Perkins or Denny's equivalent would be in the United Kingdom. I'm not familiar enough with British television to know.
We don't really have one of those. We have McDonald's and Burger King.
So something like that, right? Something like that. Let's say that you have one of those that caters primarily for breakfast or something, and it primarily sells breakfast foods. Biscuits and that sort of thing.
Oh, never mind. No, I was about to say, when I think of breakfast foods, I think bacon sandwiches.
It doesn't matter. Shut up. Just whatever.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And let's say that I know that for years, no matter what changes, on average, my restaurants go through 300 pallets of eggs every month. And I know that whatever the season is like, whatever's going on, whatever tourism is like, on average, the traffic through my 4 restaurants is 300 pallets of eggs a month. So it's been that way for years. I know what it's like. And then I decide, okay, well, I want to know who eats eggs. And I want to know what demographics eat eggs. You can poll your customers for male and female. You can poll your customers for religion. You can poll your customers for race. And you can build demographics of egg consumption. Okay?
I just want to say, I feel like this is a math question.
No, this is no math question coming here. No. This is a point for me to illustrate why I think people like individualists, classic English liberals, civic nationalists, the Sargon crowd of folks. This point is to illustrate to them how they are missing the forest for the trees. So just bear with me for just a minute, and I'll get this all out.
I'm just quipping.
That's okay. All. That's fine. That's fine. So what I say is, I know that every month I go through 300 pallets of eggs. I don't know who's eating those eggs. I don't know how they're getting taken, but I know that we sell 300 pallets of eggs, right? So I can check the demographics on it, and no matter how the demographics come out in the wash, I know that I'm selling 300 pallets of eggs. But we look at those demographics, right? And so let's say that of all of the population based on race, the 70% of egg consumers are white British, European white British. That means that the noticeable majority of egg consumers are going to be white British, and the noticeable minority of egg consumers are going to be non-white and or non-British. So that's just a fact. That's a mathematical fact. Now, see, this is group metrics. This is group numbers. Now, the reason why civic nationalists like you and Carl Benjamin and the others are not wrong when you talk about metrics of an individual is because in this situation, I can go to any individual that is a frequenter of my restaurant, and regardless of the color of their skin, regardless of whether they're British or not, I don't know if that individual takes an egg with breakfast or not. I don't know if they do take an egg. I don't know how they take it. I don't know if they want it sunny side up or if they want it poached. I don't know if they want an egg with breakfast and biscuit. I don't know if they want an egg by itself on a piece of toast. But I do know by group that a white British person in this scenario would be more likely than a non-white and or non-British person to want an egg for breakfast of some sort. So do you see why there's a difference between group metrics in math and individual metrics probability in math?
Okay.
Do you see the divergence here?
My argument here would be...
There's no argument. This is not, not time to argue.
Okay. Well, no. I suppose not argue, but just my thing that's jumping to my mind is, what does it matter whether they're ordering specifically eggs or not? They are coming at your restaurant. They are buying food from you. They are clearly coming for something.
This is not an ethics question. This is not a debate.
No.
If you understand the difference between metrics and individual probability.
I understand that. Okay.
Sure. All right.
I recognize that those things exist.
Okay. This is all leading up to something I want to ask you. So, okay. So you agree that even though group metrics show an average and can show a predictor, they are never a guaranteed predictor of any individual's taste, preference, or behavior, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're together on this so far, and you understand exactly what I'm laying down here. Okay. So as a restaurant owner, if I know that white British are in decline and being replaced by non-white British, I can expect to order fewer eggs in the future, correct? If all of my metrics and data going back for the 10 or 15 years that I've had my restaurants show that around 70% of all egg consumption are from white ethnic British, and that population subset of my clientele is in steady decline, I know that as that population subset declines as customers in my restaurant, I will need to order fewer eggs per month to save on cost, correct?
I don't want to be a fucking autist here, but I am actually autistic, so I'm going to be. Are 70% of your consumers of eggs white because simply white people eat more eggs, or is it simply that 70% of the people who eat in your restaurant white and 30% are non-white, and thus when the 70% of white consumers goes down, would you also expect the brown or non-white consumers to go up proportionately?
Okay, this doesn't matter for the model. This doesn't matter for,
the
model of this
thing,
question.
Though, is when you're talking in real life, these are things that need to be asked, and like that's the problem with a sort of like a suggestion. Sure. If you expect the white consumers to go down and you don't expect the other consumer to be affected by that at all, yes, technically, yes, you would need to buy less eggs.
Right.
Sure.
No, this is the point of this, is to show that when you... Okay, just bear with me. All right. If I know that for the last 15 or 30 years or however long I've ran these restaurants, that around 70 to 75% of all egg consumers are white native British, and it's noticeably less than that, noticeably less than half, less than 50% for all other racial demographics, racial ethnic demographics, it is fair to say, as that primary demographic shrinks, I will need to order less eggs, just generally speaking.
Yes, certainly.
Okay, right. So this is why people who are nationalists tend to be ethnic nationalists, because we don't know what individuals will do. The only thing we can go on is emergent truths of group data, right? Like, I know people that are excellent Americans and are diehard allies of white people who are black. But that doesn't change the fact that a massive amount of violent crime is done by black people in America. That doesn't change the fact that the roving bands of rapists, murderers, and arsonists right now that are terrorizing our cities happen to be black. That doesn't, those group numbers don't magically make my black friend an evil scumbag. He's still the same good guy I know. He's still the same ally, but that doesn't, those two things don't change the other. No matter how evil the Black Lives Matter mobs get, it's not going to make my friend magically a murderous psychopath. And no matter how wonderful and peachy keen my black friend is not going to change the fact that there are roving bands of murderous nignogs tearing down our cities. You see what I'm saying?
Jesus Christ. Okay, sure, yes. But my argument has always been, okay, but what's the point of thinking like that?
The point, it's not thinking, it's observing reality. Because, okay, now go back to my model of I run the restaurants. I have to make the decisions for my restaurant. The people that run countries have to make large, wide-sweeping decisions. And they can't do that based on individual metrics because there's no way to handle that bureaucratically and governmentally. They can only make predictions and do the best they can with group data. So that's why they have to look at emergent truths from different groups and allow or disallow, prioritize or deprioritize, incentivize and disincentivize across group lines, not individual lines, to try to shape a country for the better or for the worse.
Okay, but my argument here would be that if, okay, let's use your restaurant example. I would, rather than giving a shit who's eating my eggs, all I would see is, oh, my egg consumption's going down. I'm having wastage of eggs. Now, I also notice that there's a steady drop in my consumers, as you suggest, or are you suggesting that there's no drop in number of consumers? It's simply less people eating eggs?
You're assuming that this is reactionary. You're assuming that as that I notice that I'm having a surprise surplus of eggs, and I'm having to work backwards from that point. No. I'm saying, as someone who runs restaurants, I am concerned about profit, waste, that kind of thing. And I want to make sure I don't have waste product. And if I notice that the population of white ethnic British is in decline and they are being replaced, and they have been on the decline steadily and are going to be the minority in a generation, I am going to notice I'm not going to waste my money buying a bunch of eggs for people who don't want to eat them.
Okay, sure. But if okay, looking at this from a capitalist perspective, if just taste is changing and people are still coming to your restaurant, still paying your wages, still eating, still being perfectly pleasant individuals and eating in your restaurant, what's the problem? You have to buy
there's
different
not a
things.
problem here. That's not a no, the entirety of this is to show you that there is a difference between group metrics and individual metrics, and that to lead a country, to have laws, to have a society, you have to govern based upon group metrics that supersede individual metrics and individual possibility. You have to do that.
Okay, I disagree.
Because let me tell you why you have to. Let me tell you why you have to, or you're going to have problems. Okay, look, this is why you have to, and why people like me say you have to look at emergent truths of groups. Because if I run a country and I say, okay, I know that, if these people are Islamic, these people are North African, these people are from South Asia or whatever, and I look at these numbers and say, okay, well, in this city, this population creates this kind of problem 8 times the rate of this population. Why would I want to have more of this problem by incentivizing this group to come here? This group, regardless of its individuals, which can be awesome members of society, regardless of that, this group, when it comes in large numbers, brings with it A, B, C, D, and E, which destroy the country.
Okay, I will say that I wouldn't advise incentivization of any group entering my country. I'm more than happy if my government. I'll admit, I know Tony Blair did some dodgy shit, but if it's literally just make it better for brown people to enter the country, I don't like that. That is thinking on a racial term, and I don't want any of that. My argument is always treat and you've disagreed with me on this past, but I simply say when it comes to immigration, you do it from an individualist basis. You give every single person a tests on who they are. You run them through a metric of who they are.
And,
I believe it's
I
the
agree with
Australian
that
basis.
if it was 150 years ago. If it was even 100 years ago. Hell, if it was even 80 years ago. But that's not how it is now. That is a fairy tale. That is a fairy tale that can never happen again. Because of how the floodgates. Okay, if you ask me a question, you gotta let me answer it. Okay. And the reason why not is because mass migration has been in effect for 30 or 40 years, and it's not stopping. It's only getting worse. All of the institutions now, all of the multinational corporations, they have been under UN, EU, and other powerful exterior pressures to keep the floodgates open and to facilitate both legal and illegal migration as many as we can get. It has been that way for decades. And the reason why what you and I agree on doesn't matter anymore is because we need a hardline nationalist stance to start looking at the problem groups and getting people to stop letting them in and getting rid of the ones that we have, or our countries are going to disintegrate. Because we already see the writing on the wall. We can see it in every major city in America. We can see it in the major cities of most European countries now. Multiculturalism plus mass migration equals societal collapse and economic collapse. It does in every single situation we can observe. And so the writing is on the wall. There's no way that any amount of, if we just make sure the people that come here integrate, that can't fucking work when you have hundreds of thousands or millions of them flooding into your country, and the people that are vetting them tell them they don't even have to learn to speak the fucking language. They can get a translator. They can be given stuff. They can be given welfare and housing and stuff. There's no amount of my individual can learn to adapt and all that. That could have worked maybe 100 years ago. That definitely could have worked in the Victorian era, but not now. So that's why people like me think that people like you are missing the forest for the trees and don't see the writing on the wall. So that's what I have to say to that.
Scrap the benefit system, and they either become a productive member of society or they can get the fuck out. And that's that.
Okay. Why scrap the benefit system when it actually functioned well and worked when it was almost universally white ethnic British?
For the record, no, it doesn't. Says someone who's on the benefit.
I'm an ANCAP. I agree with you. I don't like government welfare programs, but it didn't start really collapsing in America, at least. It didn't start being absolutely terrible until after the Migration Act of 1967, and then the corporatization era when the floodgates got opened and everything started going downhill because of Keynesian economics and all the other shit. I don't like welfare at all, but what I'm saying is at least it was somewhat functional before the era of multiculturalism and mass migration. It at least was functional. And now it's just a never-ending money pit, and it's rapidly disintegrating in every country that has it.
I'll just say I'm 23 and I don't know anything about economics, so I don't know why it doesn't work. And I'm happy to wave my hands and say, "Fuck if I know."
It's pretty simple. It's because of resources. Resources are not infinite, but the corporatist technocracy wants infinite growth, and they believe that infinite amounts of migrants and infinite amounts of useful idiots will create an infinite amount of slow growth. And so what we have here, excuse me, I had to take a burpee. I've been drinking too much Mountain Dew. I'm kind of wired.
I can relate.
The reason that we have what we have with the NHS, for example, and the buckling welfare system in America is you have too many people coming in needing to use the system, and those people flooding in are taking away the opportunities for the people that were already here putting tax money into the pot. So you've got people coming in wanting to take handfuls of money out of the pot, and they're shoving people down and hurting them so they can't put money in the pot. That's basically what all this problem is. It's a
totally
problem of human resources. So
I totally agree.
Go ahead.
But here's the thing: how are we to decide how many of these these people are decent migrants and which ones aren't? Because there will be people there.
My point is that doesn't matter anymore.
No.
It doesn't matter anymore.
Let me finish this part. For it doesn't matter what number you throw out. It could be 9, it could be 10, it could be 100. For every large number of these shitters who just want to come here and leech off of us, if there is someone who genuinely wants to make something of themselves, sort the country. And how do we know who is who? We can't unless we institute some sort of
my point is we shouldn't care. Boo-hoo, too bad for them. This isn't their fucking country.
No.
I don't care how smart or how good of an engineer they'll be. I don't care. I would rather someone who grows up here and knows the culture and knows the language and whose parents grew up here get that opportunity. Like, I don't care if it's 1 out of 10. It's probably not 1 out of 10. It's probably more like 1 out of 10,000. But I don't care who it is that doesn't belong in this country might be a good ally or be a good countryman. We are at the point now of survival where we need to stop it all, end all immigration, and start getting rid of a lot of the pockets of multiculturalism we have. Like, even if migration, mass migration, ended right now, today, we're still stuck with the ones we have. Just like Enoch Powell said, unless we start incentivizing the elements that we don't want in our countries to get out, they're only going to get worse. So not only do we need to end mass migration, we have to start incentivizing the ones we have to get out. And we're not at that point yet. We still have mass migration. That's why the left-right narrative is BS. Because
no, I know.
They both want the same shit. They're both just globalist stooges that want to just flood our countries for cheap labor. And
I agree.
It boggles my mind that people like you and Sargon can't see the writing on the wall. Like the lofty ideals of English liberalism and individualism, they cannot exist. They can barely exist now, let alone after another 30 or 40 years of what's happening. There won't be any of us left to even remember the ideals that you guys hold so dear.
Because if we throw away our ideals to try and, win our culture war, then we are just as bad as the rest.
No, that's false.
Why
That is
we need to cling to our ideals, because at the end of the day, it's all we have. And is it not a very, very cornerstone of the American ideal that?
Okay, let me defeat this argument. I have a good way to defeat this.
Let me finish this. Right. Is it not a very, very cornerstone of like? I swear this is an American like law and order thing. Is if 9 guilty people get sent to jail as well as 1 innocent, you have failed. And that is my belief.
Yes, that is a good principle. When you have a mostly agreeable, mostly safe, mostly homogenized English or white Anglo-European culture, that works for us. But if you haven't noticed, we're not very much us anymore these days. And the problem is when you have a small subset coming into your country that causes tremendous problems. Like, okay, let me go back and defeat your argument real quick. You're talking about dying on the hill of your principles. Okay, well here, let me ask you this. You and I probably both agree that it's wrong to murder someone, correct?
Murder, yes.
Murder, as in the crime. It's wrong to murder someone. Now, murder is a crime because of how we call it a crime. Yes. The act of taking a life is justifiable, right?
Yeah.
In certain situations. Like the example that I use is, if you are sitting at home having dinner with your wife and your child, and a madman kicks open the door and says, I'm going to cut your head off and rape your wife. Well, even if he doesn't run at you, you're within your rights justifiably and ethically to pull your pistol out and shoot him dead.
Yeah.
So,
well, not in England, but
well, what I'm saying is, no,
I know.
Ethically, you are within your rights to shoot that madman dead. He invaded your privacy. He's in your home unwarranted, and he makes threats on your child and your wife, and threats on you. So even if he just stands there without a weapon after breaking into your front door and saying he's going to do these horrible things, ethically, you're in the right to shoot that man dead. Okay. Well,
sure.
We are at that point with demographics. We are at the point to where ethics and morals that we would rather stand on are no longer viable. We are at that point because very, very soon, within your lifetime, there is going to be every white country will become a minority white country. And we have no homeland to go back to. We have no Israel. We have no island to retreat to. We only have where we are now, and we're already less than 10% of the world's total population. Why are the floodgates open? Why can't we do anything about it? Like, this is like saying, oh, but my individualism, like maybe these 10 men that have broken into my home and are inviting other men into my home, well, it would be uncouth for me to ask them to leave.
No.
What kind of man would I be if I didn't give them all the food in my refrigerator?
No. It's a false analogy. It's a false analogy that they have all broken into the home because
that's the point I'm trying to make.
No. Because we opened the doors. And I know that's the part I hate about is that I'm having to defend our shitheel of a fucking government. But a better analogy. We have opened up. I have decided to throw a house party. And it's gone downhill in that thing of, oh shit, everybody on who owns a Facebook account got an invite. So now there are 1,000 people in my very small home, and 90% of them are smashing shit. They are, taking my valuables. But there's also the 10% that genuinely just came here to have a pleasant party. Now, why are they to be fucked over if I just brought out a minigun and opened fire in defense of my home?
First of all, we didn't open the doors. That's why I used
our government did. My government did. They did.
Okay. Well, that's the thing.
That's the problem. Yes.
Yeah, that's the problem. Okay. So here's the deal. The reason that I bring this up and make it sound dire is we were never asked for this. What are we going to do about it?
No, I agree.
Because
I agree
believe
with
that. I agree with the sentiment going all the way back to Swift, going all the way back to, as far as you want, even back to fucking Socrates and all that shit, or Aristotle rather. I believe in the concept of European individualism, everything that led up to classic English liberalism. Those are all good ideas that echo in my spirit, in my biospirit, as Jason calls it. I believe in those things, but those things can't function when our society is no longer a European society. And between corporatism and Jewish tricks and globalism and all this other nonsense that have fucked us over for the last 100 years, we don't have what we used to have. We don't have the structures. We don't have the power structure. We don't have the social support. We don't have what it takes for the types of ideas of English liberalism and individualism to help us get out of this predicament. Yeah. We need racial consciousness, ethnic unity, and a strong hardline nationalist resistance to this, or we're not going to survive.
We don't need those things. We don't.
Okay, then tell me how we're going to defeat these problems on a cultural level.
Sure. Basically, make the British version of ICE. Check every single person who entered this country in the last.
Okay, and you get that with votes. You get that with votes and activism, right?
Sure, yeah.
You don't get the votes, and you don't get activism without the cultural movement.
Racial. But that doesn't need to be racial. That is my point.
Check even though you're being attacked and replaced on racial lines, you still don't think this is about race? How can you be that blind, dude?
I believe they're making it about race. I refuse to make it about race. And I just want to quickly just because there have been things in chat, and we don't have that many viewers, so I think people deserve to have their chat questions responded to. I think it was Jack Blade.
True. I get heated about this, and I enjoy arguing about it.
No, I understand. Jack Blade, I believe you asked something about my opinion on central banking. I know almost nothing about economics. I am socially minded above all else. I know nothing about economics, so I don't know. And then I think the other times that my name's been brought up has just been saying, well, you're like this, well, you're like that. I believe someone asked if you had seen a certain video or chat.
If you like, I'll take. We did have a super chat, so I'd like to get to that and then respond to a couple of non-paid chats.
Yeah. If you guys want to ask questions, remember, actually, I'll put them in the chat. But we literally have a website where you can put questions, and they are individual of all of just the regular chat things. So if you want to ask questions, you can go straight to Entropy.
Yes,
there you go.
Yes, thank you very much. Now we're going to start off with the Sin of Pride. Sin of Pride over on Entropy gave us a $10 US super chat. Thank you very much, my friend.
I didn't see that. Oh.
Thank you very much, my friend. He asks, how difficult would it be for me to immigrate to the US? 100% of white Norwegian is what he is. He says 100% white Norwegian. Can trace my family back at least 500 years. What does it take for me to become a US citizen? Seriously considering.
I don't know enough, but I do want to myself.
What it takes to become a U.S. citizen is, like most countries in the West, it doesn't take a lot if you're serious about it. You have to apply to U.S. immigration. The fastest way to get here physically is via, unless you just want to get here on a boat, like part of the Soros parade. I'm not talking about just coming here on a Somali pirate boat or through the Soros parade through Mexico, but like coming here legitimately. The best, fastest way to get here is with a work visa, either a H-1B or an H-2B. Assuming that you have some kind of professional employment or professional skill, all you have to do is apply to I forget the name of the U.S., of the federal office that handles work immigration. I know that you can find it online, though, because it's really, really easy to immigrate to the United States.
I can believe it.
Okay, you're an engineer then. He just said so in chat.
Apparently, USCIS, that's US Citizenship and Immigration Service. I guarantee you go to their website, they will walk you through it, especially if you're something like an engineer. I almost guarantee you could get right in here. Into US, sorry.
There you go. Yeah, if you're an engineer and you don't have if you don't have a violent criminal record, and if you are not some kind of, if you're not on some kind of activist blacklist, like, if you if there's video of you, marching up and down Paris, France with a Nazi flag or something, you might have some problems. But even then, as easy it is to get into America, you probably would be welcomed. But anyway, thank you for the $10. I always appreciate your super chats, my friend. Now, I'd like to address some of the questions in chat we had earlier that you mentioned. I think I covered what N of One said about Eastern Europe. There is an immigration problem in Eastern Europe and in Europe itself. But the immigration is also not just non-whites. There's a problem with European migration, too, of lots of people being shuffled around that shouldn't be shuffled around, even though they're white. So this is not just a race thing. But the reason I bring up race a lot is because the Civnats and the people that I think should be talking about race refuse to talk about race. And that frustrates me. That vexes me. So I like to bring it up. I will say
one of the classic jokes in sort of British dialect is... I think it's Swedish plumbers. It tends to be, or like sort of like that sort of like I don't know. I get the sort of like the Viking countries mixed up: Sweden, Norway, the Netherlands. I get them all mixed up, but it's like that sort of area of the world. We tend to have the joke that they're all over here building our houses and fixing them. Apparently, we need to watch Eli Harmon's video on discrimination stereotypes.
I just saw that as well. N of One says, ANCAP, I'll just propose to you right now.
I saw that, yeah.
I'm ANCAP at heart. I do fantasize about a society in the far future that's a mix of Heinlein's Libertopia and Star Trek's United Federation of Planets, where everyone we're post-energy need, we're post-material need, and everyone's value is based on what they can offer to those around them, and everyone's commerce, so to speak, in that setting will be based upon what services, skills, and art that they can offer to others around them, and we would just have a beautiful ANCAP society. Yeah. Now, unfortunately, I believe that ANCAPistan is only a little more feasible than idealistic communism at this point. So that's why I've moved back to being a nationalist statist, is because that's the game that we're playing. Those are the pieces on the table, and if I refuse to play that game with those pieces, I don't get to play at all. So that's why I came off
Jack again.
That's why I came off the liberalist bandwagon, and I don't talk about ANCAP stuff much anymore because I think it's just wasted time. But go ahead, Zen.
He just says no hard feelings that you're. Jack, you were not rude whatsoever. Trust me. Back in the old Discord, the one that got nuked, there was an individual called Mr. Green. He used to go absolutely off his rocker at me.
Oh my God, he did. Yeah.
Me.
Like,
trust
don't get me wrong, I like that guy. He's funny. He's funny, and me and him have talked a lot. He's a good time. But man, he would not leave it alone with you. Jesus, he would just keep going.
All it took was for him to see me talking in chat, and he'd lose his mind. It was hilarious.
Well, I think it's because a lot of people like me who see the writing on the wall, they don't control their frustration that I get when we talk, because you hear me get heated about this stuff. They don't channel their frustration well, and it comes across as rage and aggression because they're so frustrated that people that should know better won't quote unquote name the Jew, so to speak. They won't point to the elephant in the room and say, "This is the problem. Why won't you talk about it?" It makes a lot of people really angry.
I can very much relate. Growing up, my mother used to always tell me I needed to calm the fuck down because I would intimidate people who didn't know me, and it's one thing I've very much had to learn growing up.
Are you a big fella? Are you a big fella? You intimidate people?
Oh God, no! I'm 5'9". I'm average height.
You're an average fella. Okay.
I think it's my eyes. I have very angry eyes. Have you watched the anime Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out?
No. I hate to be like a but no. This is too weeb. No.
Uzaki-chan is an anime literally about a college girl just helping one guy not be a nerd. It's great.
No. You've already mentioned a college girl, and you've already talked about anime. No. All right, so. I'm sorry. I can't do Welsh.
Okay.
I can't. I just can't. I can't do Welsh. But anyway, moving back to the comments here. Birdie says that he agrees with us about scrapping welfare and healthcare, but our own people aren't going to accept it. Neither are the minorities. I agree.
Probably not.
Swedistani Hobo says social programs can only function when more people pay in than take out. People who have never paid in coming and draining the system is the road to ruin. And of course, we've been saying that for 50 years, but look how bad it's gotten.
Absolutely.
Someone said something else that I scrolled past and I wanted to respond to. Let's see.
Could be
here's Simon JJ. Simon JJ, I don't recognize your name, but thank you for coming by. Simon says, civic nationalism missed the boat. The radical changes required to implement CivNat stuff appear far more drastic than normal nationalism. And I agree, because the type of things that I want, in my opinion, aren't radical. I just want to undo the damages of mass migration and be very cautious of who we allow in going forward. It's not that I want death camps or forced ethno-states with ethnic cleansing and all that crazy fascist stuff. I don't want any of that. I just want our countries to be like they were between 50 and 100 years ago, but us have a racial consciousness going forward that the greatness of our countries is because of the people who made it that way. And if we start rapidly replacing those people, then we're going to rapidly change the people who uphold those societal norms, those traditions, etc. And because civic nationalists agree with me, the methods and the traditions and the ideas, that stuff matters too. It's not like, just any 20 white people are going to magically make the Mona Lisa or magically make, the Library of Congress. But you still need some kind of thread of binding of what makes a people to go in with the rest of it. That's why I made that long video that was 30 minutes long talking about what are the building blocks of nationalism and why all nationalism is based on race and ethnicity. Because when you take that part out, that's the main component of a nation, is the people itself. So that's why you can't just take that out and say all people are the same for building a state. Like, you can't do that. But anyway, I got sidetracked. Let's go back to comments. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, I never... Again, there's a misinterpretation. I don't believe that anybody can do this, but I don't believe that it's racial that creates it. I believe it's mindset. And I believe that any outsider who has a similar... Again, once again, I compare myself to it. I don't feel like I belong in the UK. I want to go to America, where they value freedom far much more than my home country.
See, I understand that, and I get that. And I get that. I think that on an individual level, yes, I agree with CivNats. Individually, an Asian or an African or an Arab or even a fucking Jew can be a very staunch ally of Western kind and aligned to the archetype of whatever Western country they live in. That is possible. I've met hundreds of those people, I'm sure. But when you start looking at mass demographic change, you have to look at the emergent data of these massive groups that are flooding into your country to try to predict what the hell's going to happen. But surely that makes sense to you.
No, sure, but I believe it's not due to race, and it's oftentimes much more due to religion. And I'm more than happy to make that argument.
Okay, well, religion is an expression of race like everything else. Like, Western civilization doesn't come out of Asians, it doesn't come out of Arabs, it doesn't come out of Africans. It comes out of Europeans. Western civilization and the religions that we have and the ideas that we've sculpted and cultivated for the last thousands of years, they come out of white folks. Like, you can take 20 million white folks and go back in time and put them in Asia, and they would make Western civilization in China if there were no Chinese. And if you took 5 million Han Chinese and went back in time and put them in America when there was nobody here but savages killing each other, they would exterminate the savages and they would build what became China in North America. Like, the societies are more of an expression of the people's genetics and how they evolved over time than just where they happen to live or what soil they happen to be standing on.
But I don't believe that's because of their race. I believe that's because of their minds.
So you don't believe in science or genetics? You don't believe in biology? You think it's all bunk?
I don't believe that that race makes a gigantic difference upon your mind. No.
Okay. It doesn't make a gigantic difference. Okay, all human beings on Earth are almost all the same, but it's the tiny differences that make us hate and kill each other. It's those tiny differences that make us bad neighbors. It's those tiny differences that make us not have a high trust society when you have multiple groups of us living on top of each other. You're right. Like, this is why I say that CivNats and English liberals are missing the forest for the trees. You are right in a lot of the things you say, but you're not looking at the right pieces of truth. You're not looking at this through the right lens. Like human beings the world over, whether you're a Mongolian yak herder or you're a businessman in Tel Aviv or you scoop up shit on the street in Beijing, you're a human being that
or in San Francisco.
Or San Francisco, right? You're a human being that shares 99.5% of DNA with all other human beings, right? Like, that's a scientific fact. But it's those tiny percent differences that have emergent truths that make people in large groups have manifest differences in language and culture and traditions and mentality and all the other things that make the different human groups different. And those differences are what set us apart and make us not play well with each other.
But I don't believe any of that is influenced by race. They have differences.
How can you not believe that?
Because it's culture. Because it's brain. It's in your brain. It's your beliefs. It's what's
But
your
brain
mind
is genetics. Your brain is biology. Your brain is science. It's not this. It's not make believe ethical unicorns.
I'm not a scientist. I can't claim to have like dissected brains and discussed the differences. But I also will say that no, I don't.
Well said, Nancy. Exactly. Like Nancy makes a good point of even with the prevalence of what they call critical race theory, the anti-white theorem, critical race theory, that's being weaponized against only whites in white countries.
And I will never deny that.
This is not about race. We are clearly being
because it's easy
that way.
Because it's easy. Well, because the left have seen the weak point again. Because the left have seen the weak point. The left are using this, and in my opinion, if we then stoop to their level and use it right back, that's not something that I want to do. Now, I've always said,
what if you ethically are against firearms, but your enemies want to use firearms to kill you? Are you going to die holding your spear? Are you going to die a spear chucker, or are you going to pick up a rifle and save your wife and kids?
That's a very different thing. Okay.
No, it's not. It's exactly what you just said.
That is a very literal existence of self-defense. It's not the same as something massive and cultural and wide like this.
Okay, well, you're making everything about the individual, and when I try to give metaphors and examples about individual stuff, you say that it's false. You say it's a false equivalency. So this is why I get frustrated and I feel like you have cognitive dissonance about this topic. Is because you will die on your hill of individualism, but when I point back at you individual examples of the flaws in what I see with you, you say that it's a false equivalency. So, but when I tell you the truths of groups, you just say that it doesn't apply because of individualism.
Oh.
So I can't win with this. It's like we're two different. It's like we're from two different realities, and we don't. And 2 + 2 is 7 over here, and 2 + 2 over on your side is eggplant. It's like we're missing each other here somehow.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, look again. Like I run my life going by, but where does this go? But what happens with this? And see, here's the thing. You started having me earlier when you started talking for a little bit earlier. You started saying, well, I wouldn't want the camps. I would simply want to institute the old rules.
Yes.
But then earlier you were saying, but it's too late to have the old rules.
It is. But there's no way to get the old rules back because, I have made multiple videos on this, Zen, okay?
Okay.
The demographic that wants the old ways is gone. It has dwindled in number specifically because mass migration and the globo homo crowd that wants everybody to be wage slaves to multinational megacorps, they don't like the massive voting bloc being white people that have healthy families and own their own businesses because they give the globo homo the finger and say, we're not going to vote for that stuff. But all the other demographics do. That's why they're replacing us with them, because they'll give them that sweet, sweet democratic socialist vote, and they're going to vote us into oblivion. That's exactly what this is about, is getting rid of us and breaking our back, metaphorically speaking, with the vote. That's why I say we have to have a cultural, racial, ethnic revolution to get our people racially and ethnically aware of what is happening to us, so we actually have the cultural power to change our institutions and make them be like they were, and to start incentivizing getting rid of the multiculturalism we have.
Well, because
there's no way to do that with the current structure we have, because look, the vast majority of white people in our country, Zen, they don't even realize this is fucking happening yet.
Yeah, maybe. And in fairness, I will say I think those kinds of things are happening. We've seen Trump like putting his ban on critical race theory recently. We saw I can't remember what university it was, but there was a university where there was a dean of the university who kept going, this university is systemically racist, and then Trump went, okay, could my federal investigators go in there and figure out why they're racist? And he went, no, not you. And so I think we're seeing the pushback, but I do agree that I think the silent majority is a conundrum.
I'm not going to say it's
a good or bad thing.
I don't even think there is one. I think the silent majority just means the ignorant masses that'll do whatever the fuck they're scared to do or scared into doing. I don't really think there is some sleeping giant of some either, I don't know what you want to call them, some sleeping giant of good old nationalism that's about to wake up. And no, it's not fucking going to do that.
I'm not saying
what we see happening anyway.
I'm not even saying that they're on our side. I'm saying it's a conundrum. That's all I'm saying. I do believe that there is a massive amount of people that don't talk to pollsters, that don't talk to, that don't talk to us, that just go about their life and then they see things happen. I mean,
I do agree with that, but we're coming to the end of the show. You have to get out of here, and I need to get to work here in about an hour.
I
Because
was about to say, I'm not going to lie,
up.
I'm really enjoying this discussion, but
Okay, well
fair
then
enough.
let's keep going then, because I can
Yeah,
put
I'll
off
keep
what we have
going
to do.
because
I
Harrion
have
goes for
another
like
hour.
hours.
Okay,
Harrion
good.
goes
All
for
right.
hours, so I
Then
can stretch for
then
longer.
let's take a short break here. You share the links again in the chat, and
Yeah.
I'm going to go over some super chats and address some unpaid chats in the chat here.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Cash App and PayPal are still empty, so we don't have anything new on those.
No
But
questions.
over on Entropy, we have two things. We have
we did have chats, yes.
we have N of One coming in to remind us about the Eli Harmon video. Now, Eli Harmon is somebody whose name I know, and I think I might have listened to a couple of his videos before. But I did open up the link that you sent. N of One, you sent a super chat that said you both need to watch Eli Harmon's video on discrimination and stereotypes. I have that open in a tab right now, and I promise you that I will watch it, and we can even talk about it later. N of One, okay? Also, we have the Sin of Pride coming back in again, saying if that's their level, we should fight on that level. Then we will fight on that level. And see, that's the point that I was making earlier. Is if your enemies have guns and drones, and all you have is wicker shields and spears, are you going to die a spear chucker, or are you going to learn how to shoot a gun and fly a drone?
I think the equivalence is more we have guns and bombs, and they are using bullets smeared with shit and white phosphorus.
Okay, well, if your enemy is going to annihilate you with a biological weapon, you are then justified to, in turn, by any means necessary, including your own biological strike, you are entitled to do whatever it takes to defend you and yours. Ethically, you get a pass for that.
Weapon. Stop and disable their biological and figure out a way to stop their weapon from hurting you, because to do otherwise is just to kill everything.
Okay,
and everything breaks down.
Well, that takes time. That takes time and energy and effort that we don't have. We don't have that kind of time. Like, you understand, you're a white man in England. You are going to be a racial minority in an island that for thousands of years has been almost 100% white ethnic British. And in the blink of an eye, evolutionarily speaking, you're going to be a minority in your own country. And you expect things to be okay after that.
Until things actually have things happen, it's, things
are actually happening now. You have people tearing down statues. You have psychotic North African Islamic knick-knocks.
Most of those people are white.
Police officers. You have so all right. I'm just saying. Like, you already have the violence and the destruction and the people who openly, actively hate you. They hate you for being British. They hate you for being white. They hate you for not being Muslim. You have these people in massive numbers setting up their own cities on your island right now. And they're building dozens of new mosques every year.
Yeah.
And you think that this is going to be okay, and you don't have to.
And my argument is that so long as we can still keep breaking down the shitty parts of Islam, like if we can still keep fighting against shit like Sharia law, I don't give.
So you're saying you've already been beaten, and you're happy for your children to be Muslim?
As long as I would rather my children be like fucking. I'm not gonna have children, but I would rather my children be atheists. To be honest, I don't like any religion.
That's
not
gonna happen.
That doesn't mean I get pissy at the local church.
Atheism is for losers who don't have children. Okay,
you're not wrong. I'm not gonna have children.
The future is religious. The future is going to be Christian or Islam.
Then the future is fucked regardless. If the future is defined by what by what shiny beardy man is in the sky, then fuck it. You know? I believe what is right in front of my face, okay? And what is right in front of my face is there is a lot of problems in this country right now, but from what I can see, shit like Sharia law is getting fought at least, and I can at least happily fight Sharia law and things like that. You know, if I ever see even the slightest whisper of things like that being pushed into actual law, or if I see actual, like, and God forbid, there are pockets in this country where that's happening, and that's fucked. But there are also pockets where there's other really fucked things happening. I would like us to fight them.
Wouldn't you rather have only the fucked things that the non-immigrants, that the whites and the Christians are having, instead of having all this other stuff? Because at least the problems that you have with Christianity or Catholicism or corrupt government or shady corporations, at least those problems don't want to exterminate you because you have the wrong skin color. You see what I'm saying? Like there's videos of radical Muslim idiots talking about how we are making this city Pakistan. We are making this city Pakistan here. Like, and you think that's okay? You don't think you should actively get people to care about that and want to push that out of their country?
I mean, I'd need to know exactly what he's saying.
You're a young man, but I want you to imagine. Okay, you're a young man. I want you to imagine that you're 45. You have a job you've had for 30 years. You've lost that job because you have the wrong skin color and the wrong sex, and you're having trouble paying for your young children. Let's say you have children that are 12 and 15. You're having trouble just paying the bills and getting food for your children because the media, the schools, the government, the corporations, they all tell you that you're evil. And in your homeland, you are a racist bigot if you say you have a problem with people who come in and want to replace you. Think about what that says about the future for your two daughters that you have. What kind of future are they going to have in 50 years? How are they going to have a future where they're not just going to be a trophy wife for an African or a Muslim, or they're going to be raped to death in the street, and you're going to be called the racist and the bigot, and you're going to go to jail if you try to help her? That's the situation that people in England are in right now, the ones that actually care and think about this. And that's why you have to start thinking about this along group lines, or you're missing the forest for the trees, man. That's the point that I'm trying to get you to see all these days that we talk about this stuff.
Again, I only look at what is right in front of me. There's no point in looking at where everything ends up if we don't look at the steps. So look, if one of these days, I mean,
what I'm saying is the steps don't matter if you're going to be annihilated. The steps don't matter. Like
the steps do matter. The steps do matter because that's how we get there.
Okay, if I'm locked in a room with a man who doesn't speak my language and wants to kill me because he wants to take my husband or my wife for a slave, I don't care if I have to hold him down and murder him with a plastic spork by digging out his eyeballs. I will fucking kill that man by any means necessary to protect what's mine and to protect my family. And that's why
if there is a very obvious
ethics and morals, they are only a distraction right now. They're only keeping us from having a healthy conversation.
No, but again, that is an individualist argument. There is a single person in front of you. You know what he wants. You know what he's going to do, and you know you have the right to defend yourself against him. That's an individualist argument. You're saying these are all these people out there, and they're all going to kill you.
The reason I make that argument, Zen, is that's the only ones you seem to listen to. That's why I'm making all this individual.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, then make that expand that to a group. Why should
No, I'm not going to expand that because you can't know, because it's a group. They could be anything.
Okay. Okay. All right. This is difficult. This is more difficult than I thought it would be. I thought
Zen, hang on. Jack Blade, that's a very interesting question. If I lived in a country where Sharia law had been instituted and I was literally someone with lower rights, I would 100% be like Billy Butcher and I would be shoving C4 up their asses. Trust you me. That is a The Boys reference, Yizz. You will like The Boys, I guarantee it.
I probably should watch that then. I don't do really much TV watching. I haven't even had a TV in like 10 or 11 years. I don't even have a TV.
You won't like season 2.
We have another super chat. I'd like to. We got really distracted. We got really distracted by Sin of Pride's fight them on their level thing. Totally. Sin of Pride had another super chat that came in on Entropy over here. He said, "Stamping people, quote unquote, outlaw as punishment is a good method. It doesn't even require an executive branch. Then anyone could execute a doom. See Norse law." I believe what he's responding to there is. When I was talking about how we need a social uprising that starts, shaming people and fighting back on a cultural level, is because we are being branded outlaws even though there's no crime. And it doesn't require an executive branch to do that. It requires awareness. It requires people. Because, like, for example, people on the left, people on the right, people religious, people atheist, almost 100% of all people agree that people who fuck children are vile and should probably be killed. Like, people don't like kid fuckers. Like those are evil, vile scum that we all agree on, right?
Yeah.
And even though laws around what age of consent is, or what sex is, or what sexual assault is, those vary country to country, state to state, county to county. That is law. But culturally, we all hate that shit, and we vilify it, right?
Mm.
And I think that if we get some kind of racial consciousness and cultural revolution going about nationalism, we can start turning that weapon against our enemies, which is why I really like Jason Kuna's Go Free stuff, his anti-white language, his anti-white narrative, because it gives us simple tools to like start getting people aware of what the hell's going on and giving them easy things to call it. And then that starts bringing awareness to what's actually happening. That's like, it's a perfect vector for delivering racial consciousness awakening to people. And I really like it.
Sweetestani Hobo, I believe that if there are Sharia communities where Sharia law is, they're attempting to push that above the common law of the country, I believe the country's law enforcement should come in there and stamp that the fuck out. I despise the fact that that genuinely exists, and I do want that gone. That is something I'm more than happy to go full bloody jackbooted. Send in the police, shut that shit down. I'm happy for that. The problem is, as Yizz points out, is that we've just let it happen, and I do hate that. I'm never gonna...
Let me ask you a question then, based on something Birdie said in the chat here. I'm going to read what Birdie said, then I'm going to ask you a question.
Yep.
Birdie says here, why bother fighting Sharia law at all? They are going to become a majority eventually, and they will vote for it. Are you anti-democracy? And see, this is the point I brought up. This is the point I brought up with demographic change and that sweet, sweet socialist vote, is because demographics matter, because just like with the egg question, the reason I brought up the egg question was to show that you can predict large groups. Large groups vote in a certain way for a certain thing. What happens when you've got 40%, 50% of your country that's English being suppressed by 40 to 50% who are Islamic, and they all communicate better than you, they all have racial unity, they all have a spiritual unity, and they all want to vote in your democratic country using your English liberal laws to change the laws to implement religious law and make it a theocracy? If they have the numbers, nothing stops them from doing that.
Well, I guess then I guess maybe a change should be made, and service should guarantee citizenship.
Okay, that's a non-answer. You know that.
No, it's not. It is a genuine answer. Is we need something to stop the tyranny of the majority, and service guarantees citizenship.
You're saying as a preventative measure. I got you. No, yes, I agree with you. I don't like democracy either. I think that people need to. The only people that should have a say in government and taxes and military are people that actually put time and effort into caring and are invested in the country. Yes. Like, I don't think every Tom, Dick, and Harry should get a vote. I think you should have to contribute to society, be a landowner, maybe even have a spouse and children before you should be able to vote or run for office.
Well, see, I wouldn't even go that far. I would say genuinely full Heinlein. You go, anybody who is in the country goes to the local signing office and say, I want to do my part to make this country better. They go and they fight in the military, or they become a firefighter, whatever. Because this is something that I'm not sure how much you know about Starship Troopers, is that the military is not the only way to do it.
I know. I've read the Heinlein book that's from.
I need to read the actual book, but I've watched Sargon's videos.
But my point is, in reality, I don't know if that would be enough, because if we have mass migration, that won't fix it, because then you're going to let every fighting age North African Muslim come here, become part of the police and the military, and then have institutional power, who still hate us and are still going to vote for Sharia law and vote for communism.
Sure,
we're still going to have that, even with service guaranteeing citizenship.
But if we're going to look at things like that, then there's no answer, because
the answer,
tyranny of the majority.
The answer I've been telling you all along, my friend. Open up your heart to the white Jesus and let me fill it full. What we have here is we have a need for healthy ethnocentrism and racial consciousness on the British Isles. You have to have it. You open up your heart and let it in, my friend. It will make you feel warm and nice.
9. I need an adult.
But in all seriousness, the reason that I've been talking about this nationalism stuff all year is I do think that the only way we're going to have any way to actually fight back in time without having to go to war, without having to have any ugly race wars or anything like that, even though we're technically already in one. The way that I think we can actually make change to save ourselves and save our countries is to have a social revolution, our own cultural, racial, ethnic revolution of our people and realize what's been happening to us for the last 70 or 80 years and actually do something about it on a cultural level. Because in one way, culture is dictated to us by the ruling elite, but culture can also be shifted going towards the government, going towards leadership, if there's a big enough of an outcry and enough people get active. Just like that's why certain revolutions work and certain ones fail. Like we had a big sexual revolution, we had a big, race revolution and all this other stuff with civil rights and all that thing. Like that's because people stood up and cared and they got enough people with enough money active in doing things. We need to do that. We need to stand up and say no more global corporatism, no more mass migration, no more A, B, C, D, and E. And those things are going to lead to a healthy ethnic racial consciousness that's not going to require fascism. It's not going to require ethnic cleansing and all the other dangerous boogeyman stuff that people like you and Sargon are afraid of when people talk about racial consciousness. That it doesn't lead to that. It led to that one time out of all the different disparate communities and peoples of all the different European countries. It led to that. And even then it was because of Jewish tricks. Even then it was because of Jew tricks.
Jesus.
And so that's why I don't think that it's fair to say that, we can't go down that path because it leads to bad things. It led to bad things one time.
It also happened in South Africa just the other way around.
Well, that's different. Those aren't my people. Those aren't Europeans.
So it was a racial awakening.
Yeah, but it's a Marxist race-based communist uprising. Do you not know who Nelson Mandela is, my friend? Do you not know what the
Again, I'm 23. I don't have that much of an education of history. I don't have time to go into this. Look, I will say I think you should have Sargon on. I really think you should try and get a hold of Sargon. He will be able to answer these questions so much better than I can. But this is like you're debating with the apprentice. He is the master. You really are better off questioning him.
Sargon doesn't talk to me anymore. Okay, like he doesn't talk to me anymore. Like I left the liberalist, and we don't talk. Like
I'm sure you can get him on.
I talked to a couple of his handlers still, and I know that Kizza still knows him, but I don't think Sargon would have a good time with me because, first of all, Sargon and I agree on a lot of things. Like me and Sargon would be friends. He would be a good drinking buddy, but he and I disagree the way you and I disagree, and he makes most of the same arguments that you do. That's why I make videos that debunk and argue against the individualist standpoint. Is we are beyond the pale of that being viable anymore. That's not going to work because if that could work, it would have worked already. See what I'm saying? Like if
Hurtchin, I'm 23. I'm never having kids. Yes, because I'm very autistic, and any kid that I popped out would not be very good. I, in hindsight, saw what of a shitter of a kid I was when I was young. I do not want to wish that on me or my girlfriend. Okay, I'm more than happy at the moment. Maybe I'll adopt one day, but
Well, that's fair. That's fair. Like I can't have children either. It's not only about a numbers game. Like it doesn't matter how many white babies you crank out. It's not going to matter if we live in a country that's anti-white, ran by anti-whites, and is collapsing due to anti-whiteism. It doesn't matter if you and every white person you know. It doesn't matter if you and every white person you know has 10 kids.
It is self-imposed eugenics because I genuinely believe that my own genetics are not that great, and I don't want to pass them on. Yes.
Well, and look, I'm intersex. I wouldn't want to pass on that because that's caused me a lifetime of problems and conflict and all kinds of other stuff. Like I wouldn't want to pass that on.
But at the same time, I don't believe that being a parent is the most important thing. I believe I can do a lot of good. This is actually an argument that I've had with I haven't had the chance to have with Sargon, but I've shouted at my screen at him many times.
And also, Tater Dave in chat makes a good point. You can't outbreed the rest of the world. We're already less than 10%. That's not a numbers game we can win. So that's not a good argument.
So, do you want to shuffle off this topic? Because I feel like maybe we should, take a break for this stream, and maybe we can come back to it another day, and maybe you can continue pulling at the rope to get me over to your side.
Okay. And again, you're mostly on my side already. Like, you want the things I want. You want to live in the kind of society I want to live in. You want the kind of ideas to sculpt our culture that I want. Like, we agree on a lot of things. It's just
very
you
fearful
aren't
of the
willing
steps that go there.
You just aren't willing to pick up the nationalist flag and rifle with me yet. But
I'm
you will one
happy.
day.
I am happy to be nationalist. I'm not going to be ethno-nationalist. That is my argument.
Okay, and my argument is ethno-nationalism is the only real nationalism. Civic nationalism is a false narrative that doesn't
That
see the
is
forest for the trees.
that is very leftist believing. If you are not with us, you are not part of us.
Oh no, don't take a dump on me that way. Now.
That's what I'm hearing.
Don't lay a
It's
communist
what
turd
I
in my doorstep.
hear. It's what it sounds like. And I, hang on, I think
No,
I
I'm
can
not
hear my
saying
girlfriend giggling in the
What
next
do you
room.
mean?
I think
What do
she's
you mean
listening
I'm
to the
not? What do
stream.
you mean if I'm not with you? I mean, I just said that I'm with you. I just
No,
said
I know that. My
that
point,
we're allies.
yes, but also the way you say that is that you say that like regular nationalism, non-ethnic nationalism is not true nationalism.
Well, the reason I say it's not true is it's based on lies. I don't mean
It,
that like you aren't. I don't mean that you aren't a patriot. That's not what I mean. What I mean is it is a false statement to say that race and ethnicity is based on a people, which is a race. Ethnicity, race, is the primary building block for a nation. There is no nation without the people, without the subset of people that have hundreds or thousands of years to ethnically, racially sculpt an area to become a nation. Like if you take the one out, there's nothing. Like
I
that's why I
disagree.
say that civic nationalism is a false concept.
I disagree, Hurt Shane. They hate me for being white, but maybe I can change that on an individual level. If I can be as decent a person as I possibly can,
You
within
probably
reason,
can.
I'm
You
not,
probably
I'm
can
not
on an
going to,
individual level, but that's not going to
but
keep the
that's the point.
999 out of 100 others from
No,
murdering you and raping your
because you can
wife.
only start at an individual level. I be a decent person at an individual level, and then that one person who I convinces their family, and that family convinced people around them. That is how belief
That is a
spreads.
beautiful sentiment from a young, naive mind, and let's leave it there. Let's leave it there because it's 3:16. You have someplace to go. I'd like to read through these last chats before we get out of here.
No problem.
So
I have not seen the end result of Islamic cousin marriages, but if it goes anything like the Targaryen cousin marriages, they'll kill themselves.
Oh, hello, Tasia. Tasia sent me a heart and said, "Hey, y'all," over on D Live. Hi, Tasia. I'm going to go ahead and open up the treasure chest for everybody over on D Live.
I'll put the last spurt of chats in the chat.
Okay, you go ahead and spurt that over there. We're going to open up the chest. So everybody listening that's on D Live, go ahead and get ready. We're going to click the chest right now.
Harry intends to stream the Among Us. Well, last time he went till midnight, so
I've got plenty of time then.
Exactly, which is why I was happy to stick around.
I do appreciate you coming on to argue this stuff with me. You know that I like you. You know I like you, and I never want to make you feel bad or feel like I don't love you.
No, I totally understand. See, this is the thing: is
if I didn't care about you, I wouldn't be trying to get you to understand this stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Totally. And from my side is I don't believe in the leftist opinion of echo chambers where I leave you to this stream on your own because
that's great. I don't like echo chambers either. I make myself listen to Ben Shapiro. I make myself listen to Kyle Kalinske. I make myself watch the Young Turks. I make myself listen to all different kinds of people and ideas because I want to actually know what disparate groups think and feel.
Yeah.
Because I believe in actual diversity, not
as I say,
not the anti-white kind.
I want to always be here offering you my alternate viewpoint so that you can always have that to think on, you know.
Well, that's good. That's good.
That's why I'm here. I don't believe you'll ever convince me, but you know, I'm sure. But that's the thing is that I can always be here as part of the stream. I hope to help with as an alternate viewpoint as we go through things.
That's a sweet sentiment. Let's leave it there and let's look at questions and stuff. We don't have any new super chats, but I'm going to check the question widget. And we don't have the question widget. There's nothing in the question widget again. Unfortunately,
people just don't use entropy. People don't use entropy, I'm afraid.
Well, no, people do use entropy for super chats, and I'm very thankful for that. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah.
So let's go to.
I will say it would be
still nothing on PayPal, and we're going to check Cash App, and still nothing over on Cash App, and nothing over on Streamlabs. So let's check the chat before we say goodbye. I want to scroll up through the chat and see if I have missed anything here.
I do make my argument to the chat. If you put your questions in the question widget, we can see them easier. They don't get lost in the chat.
Yeah, if you definitely
useful.
All of you that put your questions and comments in the chat, I would love to respond to them easy, but it's a lot harder to have to dig them out of chat. If you'll use the entropy question widget, I promise you it will lead to much better discourse between us. So now,
I'll also say, if you all want to cool down after this stream, so stick around to the end. But if you want to cool down, go if you want to cool down after the end of the stream. Harry and Gladiv is playing Among Us, and you get to see me be blind and get lynched because I'm not aware. Trust me, that is what happens.
All right, let's see. I would like to respond to what Nancy Drew said here in chat. She says, everyone else has their own groups and it's encouraged, but whites are not allowed to feel proud about their culture and associating groups without being called militant or supremacists.
No,
That is the primary reason why we need to enkindle a healthy national consciousness among our people, is because it's been vilified and beaten out of us for generations. And without it, we're going to be replaced by people who have that. And so we need to have that just as a self-defense mechanism.
I agree. And I agree. And I have said I love.
Well, I'm glad to hear you agree about that. That's good.
I agree. I agree with the work that you did with the university, where you were literally saying, you even specified in that leaflet, we do not discriminate against the other races. We simply want whites to not be guilty. I love that, and I do support that, and that's what I want you to know.
That's why more people need to have conversations with nationalists like me, because they need to realize that this is not about hate and exclusion. It's about the healthy love being rekindled in white people, in European people. It has been beaten out of us since World War II. We have been vilified on purpose to break our spirits and to dishevel us, to make us deracinated.
I will say that I don't
fix that.
I don't believe that on a majority level it's actually a hateful thing. I believe for a lot of people it is fear. People have seen, you know, a lot of people really, the Nazis scared them, and I have to say the N-word, the Nazis scared them, and I understand that, and they are genuinely terrified that it could happen again, and I understand that.
Well, Nazis don't scare me. Let's move on.
Sure. But that's why we've got to show them what we genuinely want love. Right. That's what we want.
All right. So let's scroll down here. There was something the N of one said. Let's see. Oh wait, no, that's not it. He said something. Okay, here we go. N of one said, I actually agree with the Zenn. Civic nationalism is legitimate, but it's experimental. It's not the norm. That's a good comment. Like, that's a really good statement that sort of sums up what I was trying to express to you earlier of it. The concepts of civic nationalism, I agree with, because they are academically sound and based upon our Euro-Anglo-Christian skeptic community basis of the last 100-200 years, they are also ethically sound to our biospirit. They ethically make sense to us. And but we have to realize we are being attacked and we are at war. And we have to be willing to defend ourselves and take up arms in the psychological war being waged against us, or we're going to die on our hill of theoretical values. So that's a very good way for to sum that up. I'm going to read it again. N of one says, civic nationalism is legitimate, but an experiment, not the norm. I like that. That's good. Okay, let's scroll down through the rest of the chat here. The Sweetestani hobo, simply put, if you let the people and their culture get replaced, the country can have the same name, but it won't be the same thing it was. That's correct. That's correct. That's sure. It's a point that I make a lot. Okay, Hurt Chain says the left made the conscious decision to be racist. You can't make that decision for them. All you can do is acknowledge reality and work around the situation. I sort of agree, but that's not the language I would use. Our enemies made this about race.
Yeah,
it's not just the left or the right, because there are absolute globalist technocrats, NWO, anti-whites, whatever word you want to call our enemies that want to break us and replace us. They definitely have made this about race, and they have for decades. So we are definitely we are in some kind of psychological race ethnic war right now, and it's cultural until it's not, sadly. Nancy Drew says she discriminates against her own people. I got turned off. He made it clear on her channel that Christians are Marxists. She makes me realize she doesn't know what she's talking about. I don't know who you're talking about, Nancy. What was that in reference to? Can you tell me in the chat, pretty please?
Her chain, I have played Town of Salem. It's very fun.
Cool. Okay. Let's see. Tater Dave says equal footing is the goal. No more being taken advantage of and feeling like we have to save everyone for their own mistakes. And that's a good point, because if we actually do have equal footing, and we don't have all of these institutions prioritizing people over us and over our children, it's going to let the white people of our countries naturally be the majority and naturally have the dominance they deserve. Like, that's naturally going to occur. Like, we don't have to have forced ethnic cleansing and concentration camps and all that crazy, extreme stuff. We only need an even playing field that's not being rigged against us, and we're not being spiritually broken by the anti-white mind cancer from universities and corporations and schools and stuff. All right.
Yeah. Oh, N of 1 started using the question widget. I just want to
Good.
address. I just
All
want to
right.
address something that Hurtchain said in the chat. Hurtchain says the shit my sister says about white people is insane. I feel sick when I stood. Yeah, there's nothing more like stomach churning when a family member starts coming out with like. All I'll say is just things that you politically disagree with. I remember. I remember when I was a couple years ago. How many years was this? 3 years ago, I think it was. Oh God, it was. Oh, you remember when Count Dankula was going through the whole pug trial and all that?
The what trial?
The pug trial, the Nazi pug trial.
Oh, the pug trial, yes.
Yes. On the day of his sentencing, so when the day that they came out and said, "Oh, it's 800 quid," on that day, I actually went down to London, and it was the first time I've ever left the Northeast, at least in living memory. Apparently, I went to Scotland a couple times when I was small, but aside from that, it's the first time I've left the Northeast on my lonesome. Went down to London and joined the protest. It was a lot of fun. It was lovely. I spoke. On a big they got like a box and a loudspeaker, and people were given like short 1-minute speeches. It was very nice. It was my first public speaking as an adult. It was terrifying.
Well, that's jolly, but let's wrap up.
No, I had a point. I was feeding to.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I had a point I was feeding to. When I got back from it, I was speaking to my dad about it, and my dad's always been fairly politically neutral. He never really talked about politics in front of me. He was always just, don't be a dick, He was that kind of dad. But when I mentioned that I'd been down to him, I remember very specifically because we were walking through town. I remember even the street we were walking on, because when you have that moment when something happens and you remember exactly where you are. He looked down at me and he went. He said, "Oh, I remember. Oh yeah, I looked into that because I was worried it was some right wing thing, and I remember just thinking, oh God, right wing on its own is considered a bad thing. So to some people, it's like, wow." And in fairness, I followed that up with, but then I looked into it and it seemed really chill. I hope you had a good time, and I hope and I understand it was important to you. But it's like that moment when I realized, oh wow, my dad thinks just being right wing is some bad thing. You don't know how to respond, and even given time, you don't know. And the longer you let it sit, the worse it gets. So I do understand that feeling of hearing someone that is very close to you and that you love say things, and it doesn't. You don't know how to feel. It's a scary feeling, and I wish I could give advice, but I don't, because I have never brought it up to him since.
Well, let's wrap up with over on the question widget. N of 1 says on the question widget, it is about hatred. It's about hatred of weakness. The uncontrolled immigration weakens our nation. It weakens every nation, I would say. That's my words at the end there.
Oh yeah, totally.
So we're gonna go ahead and wrap up there. It's been a wonderful hour and a half. Thank you very much, Zenn, for coming on to talk to me and argue with me playfully and in good fun and in love.
It's lovely being here.
And let this conversation stand as testament to everyone out there of any kind that doesn't hate the West and doesn't hate whites. I will have a healthy, adamant conversation with you about any topic that you want, as long as it is involving improving Western kind and improving our civilization and our people. I would love to argue with anybody out there, anybody who can get this video to someone else. Go ahead. What?
Because Hurtchain requested that I link the Among Us stream again. It is Harrian. Sure. It is Harrian. There you go.
Thank you very much, everyone. We are going to get out of here today. Yes. I'm going to be listening to, maybe even chatting in the cigar stream later, but I do have a lot of work I need to do today. I'm going to be cleaning out someone's shed and garage for them tonight for a little extra money. So I'm going to be busy with my hands. I won't be chatting much, but I do appreciate all of you coming by. Thank you to the 30 of you that showed up. Thank you for the 3 of you coming over on D Live. I hope that you got a lemon or two when I opened the chest.
I'll just say,
I'm not done. And I definitely am going to be back next Friday. We probably, if N of 1 can, N of 1 will probably be my guest next week, because I remembered that he was going to be a guest and we were going to talk about it. But that was the week that I lost my Discord, and then I forgot because I'm retarded. So now that I see him again, Alex is in the chat now. Alex, get him my new Discord, my new temporary Discord name that I made. and we'll get something set up. And N of one, if you don't want to talk on Discord, you can just send me a Proton mail. Yizz the Eunuch at Proton mail. So anyway, thank you all. Much love to all of you. Goodbye and God bless and all of that. And we will definitely see you live next Friday.
Be good to your common people. Be good to people and be good to people. I will say this is my closing thing.
Okay.
Be good to the people around you and judge them on how they be to you back. That is what I say.
All right. Well, in closing, snow apes rise up.